Why do I need to read in English? My students often ask me. They think, I go to classes, I do my homework, I watch films in English. Why should I read books? Actually, reading is the best way to improve your English. I will tell you why. First, reading is very important. Not only did 1 in 4 people go to university in the past, but now more people go to university. All jobs require more reading and writing than years ago. This is true for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're an office worker or a mechanic. Second, reading will improve your speaking, writing, vocabulary, and grammar better than any other way. It won't improve your listening directly, but it will improve your vocabulary. When you have a better English vocabulary, you can listen more easily and improve your listening that way. In school, you probably read a lot of English, boring textbooks and stories with exercises at the end. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about reading for pleasure. That means reading a book you enjoy because you enjoy it. You are not reading because your teacher said, read this book. You are not reading because you think, I should read this book. You are reading because you want to. In an experiment in schools in America, they gave some boys free books. They were fun books like James Bond. They said, you can do what you want. You don't have to read the books. But the boys did read the books. They read a lot of books. Some boys read a book every 2 days. After years, they gave the students a test. The students who got the books got better at reading and writing, and they liked school more. The students who did not get the books did not get better at reading and writing. In fact, some of them got worse. This isn't just true for native speakers. They also did an experiment on students learning English in the Fiji Islands. They tested 3 ways to teach. The first way was normal English teaching with grammar classes, exercises, and so on. The second way was reading in silence. The students read books in class. The third way was reading together. The teacher read books to the students. After 1 year, the 2 ways with reading were the best. They were much better than the students who did normal English classes. They did the experiment again, this time in Singapore. There, the students who read in silence did very well. They did the best in grammar tests. Other students did grammar classes but performed worse in grammar tests. In normal classes, we try to remember grammar and vocabulary. When we read, we learn them naturally. Maybe you're thinking, when I read in English, it's too hard. I have to use the dictionary all the time. It's boring. I can't do it. I understand. So I wrote this book. I think this book will make you like reading because the stories are easy and fun. The early stories are short and easy, and the later stories are longer and harder. When you finish the book, you will think, wow, I did it. I make a podcast called English Listening Practice. 9 of the stories in this book I wrote for English listening practice. One of the stories I wrote for this book, but when I made this book, I made the stories better. Now you can read the stories at beginner, pre-intermediate, intermediate, or advanced levels. The stories are all fairy tales. Some are very popular fairy tales, but some are not so popular. One of them I wrote myself. Maybe you're thinking, fairy tales are for children. I need useful vocabulary. I need to learn about business and science. That can't be fun. Actually, the vocabulary in these stories will be useful. McQuillan did an experiment where he looked at vocabulary in novels. 8% of the words were on academic word lists. These are lists of words that you need to know to study at university. Rolls and Rogers also did an experiment. They asked, if students read 1,000,000 words of science fiction, will they learn important science words for studying at university? The answer was yes. So, yes, fairy tales are useful for you too. But I understand if you still don't believe me. When I learned about all this, I found it hard to believe too. But I like to try new things, and I love learning languages. So, in 2017, I decided to do an experiment. I had wanted to learn Spanish for a long time, but I didn't learn much in normal classes. I said, I will read 1,000,000 words in Spanish. Afterward, I will see what my level is. 1,000,000 words is about 40 novels, so it was a lot of work. I started with very easy reading, like this book. Then I started reading translations of books that I knew in English. For example, I had read Harry Potter and Game of Thrones in English, so I read them in Spanish too. Finally, I read new books in Spanish. I read Latin American authors, such as Isabel Allende, Jorge Luis Borges, and Manuel Puig. I loved them. I also listened to podcasts, but I always read the transcripts and added the words to my goal. After I finished reading 1,000,000 words, I wrote and talked to native speakers. I was at an intermediate level. I could understand almost everything I read. I could understand people when they spoke clearly, and I could have conversations. I had spent most of my time reading, not speaking. In 1 year, I learned more than most students learn in 2 years. I didn't try to remember grammar and vocabulary. I learned them naturally. Maybe you're thinking, I don't believe this, or maybe you're thinking, wow, I'm going to read for hours every day. But I have to say something very important. You must read books that are easy and fun. If a book is too difficult or too boring, put it down and find another one. Stephen Krashen, an expert in language teaching, says only read things in English that are fun and interesting. Read things that are really easy that you wouldn't read in your native language because they are too easy. So, you can read comics, magazines, detective stories, romance stories, and so on. Don't feel bad about reading translations. If you read very easy books when you see a word you don't know, you will understand the meaning easily. You won't have to use a dictionary. So, what is easy? Experiments show that you should understand at least 98% of the words in the text. 98%! That's so high, I know. But let me show you an example. Here's a text where 50% of the words are not real words, so you should understand 50% of the words. Jerry fled out of bed and opened the curtains. He blamed to himself as he made breakfast. He made coffee and put butter on his puffer. Someone called his phone and he picked it up. He was very surprised by who was tingling, so his inky fell on the floor. Is that easy to understand? Could you read a whole book of that? Here is the same text, but only 2% of the words are not real, so you should understand 98% of the words. Jerry jumped out of bed and opened the curtains. He sang to himself as he made breakfast. He made coffee and put butter on his toast. Someone called his phone and he picked it up. He was very surprised by who was calling, so his inky fell on the floor. How was that? You probably didn't understand everything, but it was more fun to read than the first text. That's why reading for pleasure is so great. Maybe you don't understand everything, but you understand enough to follow the story, and you don't have to pick up a dictionary. So, if you find that this book is too hard, read something easier. If you find it boring, read something more fun. I know that not everyone likes my writing, and that's okay. Find a book that is good for you. When we have fun, we learn much more. Because I want this book to be fun, it has no exercises in it. I thought about adding them after each story, but I don't think it's a good way to spend your time. Instead, you should read more. Read for pleasure. If you finish this book, you can try the level above. Because you already read the stories, you will know them well, and it will be easier to understand. But maybe when you finish this book, you will love stories. I hope so. If you do want to read more, you can listen to my podcast, English Listening Practice. I write a new story every week with audio and text, and there are over 100 episodes for you to listen to. We can improve our English with such beautiful stories. Let's listen to this story. This will improve your English speaking skills unprecedentedly. Do you want to improve your English? Do you want to speak English more fluently? You see, the English language changed my life. I was born in Hong Kong, so English is not my first language. My first language is actually Cantonese. My second language is Mandarin, because my mother is from Taiwan. And my third language is English. So when I first immigrated to North America, I couldn't speak a word of English. English! And I know some of my fans have said that you're tuning into my videos because you want to learn how to speak the English language. I find that that's kind of interesting. So today, I want to share with you 5 steps to improve your English fluency. 5 things that I did to learn the English language. Step number 1 to improve your English fluency is actually very simple. Don't give a damn. That's right, don't give a damn. Speak whenever, wherever, however. It doesn't matter if you speak with an accent. I still speak with an accent, and I talk to tens of millions of people every single month. It doesn't matter. Forget how people will judge you. Forget how people will think of you. All this stuff doesn't matter. Just speak as much as you can. If they don't understand you, say it again. If they still don't understand you, say it again. Just keep saying it. I remember because I spoke with such a thick accent. I sounded like Jackie Chan. I can still speak with some Chinese accent like, hey, yeah, this and that kind of stuff. But you just speak. You just speak as much as you can because that's how you get comfortable. You would not guess if you're always thinking about, oh, to understand a culture, to understand philosophies. You need to understand the language. So when I learned the English language, I also learned a lot of other things about the culture, about business. Of course, that's what I do. So language is not just something that you use to communicate. Language is also something that you can train your mind with. So, understand that. Step 4. Immersion. You have to immerse yourself. When I was learning the English language, what I did was listen to music every single day. I would listen to English music, English songs, and try to sing along and just learn it. It was very, very difficult. I was listening to rap music, which was way too difficult. I gave that up. But I was watching English movies without subtitles, and I would listen. At first, I wouldn't understand. I would understand maybe 5% of it, right? And then I would understand, I think, oh, that's what she means. And 10%, 20%. As my English improved, I noticed I would understand the movie more and more. So you have to immerse yourself. Talk in English, listen to English music, watch English movies. Do as much of that as you can. Naturally, you'll pick up the slang. You'll pick up certain stories or phrases. That's how you learn the English language. Then you make it fun. It doesn't have to be, oh, I have to sit down and study. No, make it fun. Talk to people who speak English. Interact, connect, read, watch, listen. That's how you get good. That's how I got good. Step number 5 to improve your English fluency is to hang out with people who speak English. I know it sounds so obvious, but that's how